Just about there, bud.
No worries.
Hey everyone, welcome to a special recording of The Bullet. This is, we're actually Wednesday morning right now. This is going to be planned for a Thursday broadcast. And so we're recording live just as we normally do. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere else we normally go. But when you see this and when you get it on podcast, it won't be as live as it normally is. If you're watching us Wednesday morning on either the Facebook page or YouTube page for Polite Society Podcast, you can get your comments in. We'll put them on the air. We'll discuss them live. Joining me today from the Cornhusker state, Jon Anderson. He's, of course, the guy behind, or one of the people with his beautiful wife, behind the Get Off My Lawn podcast. He's also an NFOA, Nebraska Firearms Association, Firearms Owners Association board member. What we wanted to do, John, today, John opened, let's put it this way, John came up Saturday?
Yeah, Sunday.
Sunday up to here, to Sioux Falls, and said, hey, do you want to go have brunch? So we did, and this was hatched out of that. John, the reason we wanted you on is Nebraska is trying, I believe, I know for a fact, at least the third year in a row, but it may even be four, to get permitless carry, or what a lot of people call constitutional carry, passed.
Right.
Last year, it failed by one vote in the Senate. Two. Okay.
Still, that's way too close to. That's way too close for no cigar.
Yeah. Well, this year, Nebraska's legislative season just kicked off, and I believe it's already been introduced again this year, right?
It has. Now let's take just one quick step back, because a lot of the viewers and listeners may not understand the legislative landscape here in Nebraska. We are unique. We're the only state in the union with only one governing house, as you will. So we have a state senate. We don't have a state house. So the people are intended to be the second house, although I like to claim the people are the first house and the senators are actually the second house. But we only have one governing body through whom the legislative bills have to travel to make it into law. So quick backstory, 2 years ago, the same senator has done this all 3 years, Senator Brewer from Northwest Nebraska, first introduced a bill that would allow each county to adopt a permitless carry option within its county lines, just like states right now are going permitless carry state by state. So it would allow within Nebraska, county by county, to do that. It was kind of a backdoor challenge to all of the senators who voted down statewide preemption year after year. And okay, if you don't want one rule for the whole state, then let's let each county make the rules, which the bill was gaining some traction up until the state attorney general said, hey, concealed carry can't be decided by the county. That is a state level issue, so only the state can decide it. And so that bill actually got, that one got carved out. 3 of the bills that were stalled in committee got put in instead, and those passed. So some good stuff came, just not what we wanted with that bill number. So last year, Senator Brewer again introduced a true constitutional carry bill statewide, but he tried to, how's that old saying go? You can make some people happy all the time, you can make all the people happy some of the time, but you can't make all the people happy all the time.
Right.
And his intentions were good, but the execution turned out to not be what he had anticipated, because he thought he could get more of the senators on his side if he could prevent the Omaha Police Union from standing in its way, because they are the largest group of police officers, or lobby group, I should say, in the state that speaks on behalf of law enforcement. So there was kind of a carve-out amendment that was proposed that would not apply to Omaha. And that ended up being, it was intended to be the spoonful of sugar that helped the medicine go down, but it ended up being more of a poison pill that killed the whole bill, because it was a source of contention, not only within the state Senate, but across the state as well. So this year there's a clean bill. It just does constitutional carry. And instead of having a carve out for Omaha, part of the wording of the bill says that no city, no town, no village, no county, no subdivision can regulate guns in any way. So currently, Omaha residents have to register handguns if they don't have a concealed handgun permit from the state. So that would go away. So that's kind of a side benefit. This year is a new legislative session in Nebraska. Our sessions run over the course of 2 calendar years. Right. So it's a brand new session. And so the bill number for constitutional carry is LB 77. And the hearing for that in Judiciary Committee it's all but on the books, but it's set to be scheduled for January 26, which is and you're going to be playing this on Thursday the 19th, right, Paul? So that'll be 1 week from the day that this gets published, on Thursday the 19th. So Thursday the 26th in the Judiciary Committee room there in the state capitol in Lincoln.
Very cool. Very cool. So the way this one sits, your HOA cannot say you cannot carry here.
No, that's HOAs are kind of a weird animal in and of themselves that I don't even understand very well. So let's clarify that the bill would absolutely not take away the rights of any private property owner or private property manager. So that absolutely, and it's my opinion that private property rights cannot be touched. There's absolutely, the government has no business telling you what you can and can't do that is within the law on your property. You can allow it, not allow it. That's your choice, right? But what the bill actually will do, though, is just say that that Omaha or any other smaller town or village in the state of Nebraska can't have a registration. And the problem that we had with Omaha is they had a different set of criteria that you had to meet in order to be granted the registration. The registration wasn't a shall issue, it was a may issue. And it wasn't just, it didn't just come down to, are you a prohibited person? All the questions that are on the 4473 form, like it ought to. It came down to other things. If you had a firearms charge, even as a minor, anytime in your back history, there's a whole list of extra charges that could be on your record that wouldn't stop you from possessing a firearm in Greater Nebraska, but they would stop you from registering your handgun in Omaha proper, which would also stop you from possessing it then, because you cannot possess an unregistered handgun in Omaha unless, again, fine lines, muddy the waters. If you have your concealed handgun permit, then that does preempt Omaha's registry.
Wow.
So it's confusing. Senator Brewer's bill will knock all that confusion away and just make it to where if you're not otherwise prohibited, then you can carry your firearm in an open or concealed fashion. That's all it is. We already have permitless open carry in Nebraska. Again, outside of Omaha, they have a requirement for a permit to open carry, or your CHP to open carry. So again, that goes away. So if anybody wants to open carry in Omaha, they won't need any special permitting to do so if this gets passed. And then what's really great is if somebody is in the lower income bracket and doesn't have the money to go to a concealed carry class, a CHP class, which the average is somewhere between 100 and 125, I believe, across the state. So they don't have the money, number one, to take the class. Number two, they don't have the time to take off work to take the class, and then maybe they can get the class in on a weekend, but they also have to take time off work to go to the state patrol office to apply for the permit, do the fingerprinting, all that. And that's a good hour to 2 hour process right there.
Well, and let's look at for lower income people, the ones that have jobs. Generally, those are jobs. You know, your gas station clerks, your fast food workers. Most of those people have to work some weekends, and so even getting time to go to training could be an issue.
That's very true. And then again, if you live in Omaha or Lincoln or Norfolk, Kearney, North Platte, or Grand Island, then great, you can drive across town. If you don't live in one of those cities, you have to drive to one of those cities to get your fingerprints done. So in greater Nebraska, out in the western parts, you're looking at potentially a 3-4 hour drive one way to get to the state patrol office to get the fingerprinting done. So that hour to 2 hour process is going to take all day for you.
Yep.
Because you have to leave early in the morning and you won't get home until evening. So you're taking a whole day off work there too.
Let's get a couple of comments in here real quick. As we were opening, DJ Play Nice chimed in.
DJ!
And he said that it's a unicameral.
It is a unicameral, yes.
And we had a commenter on Facebook, and this is somebody probably watching in a Facebook group, and so I don't get the name. It just says Facebook user. Funny how it is how honest folks have to follow innumerable rules. Well, the bad guys do whatever they want.
That is exactly it.
So we're looking at 1 week from when this airs. We're looking at next Thursday is when the first hearings happen on this bill.
Right.
If I remember right, last year what killed it was a filibuster, and as we talked about earlier, there was just 2 votes shy of breaking that filibuster. Are those 2 senators still in the legislature, or are there?
We have a lot of new faces. We have term limits in our legislature, and so a lot of the opponents of the bill did term limit out or just chose not to run for another term. And so it'll be interesting to see how this shapes up. Now, ultimately, if we can have what we really want to have happen, the filibuster won't be effective. And I just learned this recently, so I want to explain this so that people across Nebraska and across the country, if you're watching Nebraska, you understand how this works. And I'm learning as a fairly new board member for NFOA. I didn't have a lot of experience in the legislative process, so I'm learning a lot about that as we go along too. So if this is common knowledge to some of you, just understand that a lot of us didn't understand this process. So let's back this up. Last year, first of all, Senator Brewer had a gentleman's agreement with Senator Lathrop, who at the time was chair of Judiciary. And Senator Lathrop was worried about another instance where we had hundreds of people coming into the Capitol, making people nervous. That happened a few years prior. The news only focused on the 2 fellas in their Hawaiian shirts and chest rigs and AR-15s, and the one alleged white supremacist that was in the building. And they didn't focus on any of what the bill actually did, or the fact that so many people showing up did show those senators what Nebraska really cares about. Didn't focus on any of the positives. And so that senator last year wanted to not have a recreation of all these people in the building, and again making some of the senators nervous, which was unfounded in my opinion. But I can't tell her opinion. That she has her own right to that opinion. But Senator Brewer agreed. He said, "Okay, I'll call off the dogs. We won't ask for everybody to come in if you will advance the bill out of the committee. At the very least, have the executive session and have a vote. The chairman for the committee gets to decide which bills get voted on and which ones don't, right?" And so that never happened. And so Senator Brewer was forced to play his ace that he had as his whole card, which is a pull motion, so he can propose that they pull the bill out of committee, and he has to get 25 votes to do that. He had that, so he was able to pull the bill out of committee and onto a floor debate. But time was against us last year, so the hearing wasn't until what was the hearing in March, I believe. You have to wait 20 days after that before you can do a poll motion. That put us clear into late March, early April, and they just kind of ran out of time to get these done. So it did go to the first round of floor debate. They have 8 hours to debate it, filibuster it. If it goes the full 8 hours, then it takes 33 votes to break the filibuster. I learned recently that if the proponents of the bill stay quiet, because every senator gets 3 spots in the queue, 5 minutes each, and if everybody talks, you're going to fill up that 8 hours time. But if you just let the opponents go and they each spend their 15 minutes, there aren't enough of them to fill up an 8-hour filibuster. And so if their chances to talk are done and nobody else is in the queue, then it comes to a regular vote, which only takes the majority, 25 votes, to advance the bill. So that's what we're hoping for, is that the filibuster just will become a non-issue, and we're asking all of the senators in favor of the bill to stay out of the queue, don't talk, let them burn up their time, and there won't be enough time in that 8 hours to get through they'll run out, and then a 25 vote majority, simple majority, will pass it out of committee. There's 3 rounds. The first time is 8 hours of debate. The second time is 4 hours of debate, and that was where it died last year. And yeah, we had 31 votes. I think it passed with 34 or 35 votes the first round. But that was before the amendment was voted on. The amendment that carved out Omaha did pass, and so then by the second round that was put into the bill, and that was where some of the senators dropped out with their support. Some of them just kind of went all wishy-washy and didn't have a firm stance because they did want to run for re-election, or they were seeking position outside the Senate, some other elected position, and so they didn't want that on their voting record. A lot of them voted present, which is not a yay or a nay. It's just, I'm here, but I'm not going to say either way.
Yeah.
So you just will not even be in the room.
Well, there is a senator and I covered this about a week ago. There's a senator in Omaha that is absolutely having kittens over this, and has introduced rules that she wants in the Senate this year, that you cannot openly or concealed or in any form, you cannot carry a firearm into the Capitol, onto the Capitol grounds, unless you are a policeman or a military member. I think you could probably find some.
And I believe it's got to be active duty or on duty, even.
Or you could even be on duty.
I could be wrong about that part, but yes, and she does that every time. Every new session that gets proposed, it's always been struck down because, again, most of the governing body does understand that the right to keep and bear arms is so important. it was so important in Nebraska that back in 1986 we amended our state constitution and added that into Article 1, Section 1 of our state constitution. And the intent then was to make it to where a permit would never be needed to carry. That didn't happen, and the law was passed that you couldn't carry concealed. The answer that everybody got when they asked the legislature at the time about this doesn't follow our Constitution, they said, you know what, if you want it to be changed, you'll just have to take it to court, which never has been done. So 20 years later, 2006, the bill was passed to allow permitted carry. We went from no issue to shall issue at that point. Almost 20 years later, we're trying to negate the requirement for said permit. And I'm proud of my state for a lot of things, but the fact that we are so far down the list on every major issue of getting our laws changed or making things better for Nebraskans is very disappointing to me. I'm a lifelong Nebraskan, so this is the only state I've ever known. And I love where I live. I just want to make it better for not only myself, but all my fellow Nebraskans. So that's what we're kind of working on here.
All right, get a comment in here again. DJ wants to know, Paul, where'd you get the snazzy hat? That is a good-looking hat, ain't it?
You've got to know somebody. We actually had a fundraiser a couple years ago, and we're learning too on fundraisers. As a 501c4, there are certain things we can and cannot do. Selling things is one of them. We can't just sell merchandise and fund ourselves that way because that would be profit. So we did have a fundraiser. We did have some items that we gave out in return for some donations. Made sure that we were within the laws of the nonprofit organization, but they were a limited run. We don't have any more of these.
Yeah, I got this from Trish Harold, and I do wear it. As a matter of fact, DJ, I didn't see any comments from you that day, but so you may not have been able to catch me. But on Monday, I believe I wore this hat while I was live on the air, and I wear it every once in a while. I've got right over there. I have a huge collection of hats, and I'll wear different ones all the time, but this is certainly in there. And I specifically, because I knew I would be talking to John, found this one this morning. So
same here.
So let's talk timeline a little bit more.
Okay.
First hearing is Thursday,
right,
1 week from when this airs. How long should everything go smoothly this time? And let's keep our fingers crossed that it does go smoothly. If
right.
things go smoothly, how long till it gets to the governor's desk?
If everything works perfectly, we are looking possibly as early as sometime in March that it hits the governor's desk.
Okay.
Then it'll be 90 days before it takes effect. But we'd be looking sometime June, maybe July, that it would go into effect here. And we have a new governor. I have not heard specifically or formally that he will sign the bill if it comes to his desk. I have no reason to doubt that he will. And I say that because he's not a Lincoln or Omaha politician. He's a successful farmer from not too far from where I live, actually, up in more east central Nebraska is where he's located. One of his campaign ads had he was holding a shotgun and pumped the action of the shotgun in his campaign ad. Now, may have been a prop. Like I said, I have not met Governor Pillen. I don't know the man, but I 100% am confident that he is pro 2A and that he will sign the bill once it gets to him.
Well, and
I tell you what, if the governor wants to run for a second term, he won't mess with Nebraskans' gun rights.
the previous governor, last year, the governor was at SHOT Show and was and had said, "Look, put this on my desk. I'll sign it."
Yes.
And so, I guess opportunity missed a little bit there, but let's hope things go as smoothly as they can, and you find out if you got a real Second Amendment governor, so that Nebraska can boldly go where 25 states have gone before.
Right. We obviously couldn't be the first. We didn't make it into the first half, but there's no reason why Nebraska can't be the first of the second half.
And there's no reason you can't beat Florida.
Exactly.
Because
I would love to beat Florida at something other than football back in 1996.
I hear, and to really go on a left turn here, I hear rumblings all the time about Florida getting permitless carry, and it's up again this year. And once again, the governor has said, "I will sign it," and he made a big deal about saying, "Look, the legislature just has to get it to me. I will sign it." And Republicans in Florida have been the ones that have been blocking it getting to him. And so when there was a big press thing about the start of the legislative season, he looked at the Republican leader in the Senate, said, "Are you going to get it to me this year in this press conference?" And the Republican Senate leader said, "Yes." So, but I don't. Florida's one. Their legislature goes all year long. I don't see them getting it quickly. You could still make it to number 26 instead of somewhat later.
That would be amazing. That is our ultimate goal as our organization this year. That is our number one focus, is getting constitutional carry passed, and then we'll regroup. We'll regroup. And then the way that we work is this isn't an organization where just the people on the board get to do whatever we want. We poll our members, and we ask them, "What are you the most concerned about?" And then we take those answers and we shape our focus based on that. Every time there is a bill that comes through the legislature that affects the rights of Nebraska's firearm owners, we poll our members and we ask them, "Do you support this? Do you not support this?" And there are some issues that aren't cut and dried, like constitutional carry. We didn't have to poll them. We've heard from our members for so many years now. We get it. We know. But there are some things that are not as easily definable. And so we ask our members, "Do you want us to support this? Do you want us to oppose this?" And we do what our membership wants us to do. So if you want a say in what NFOA does and you live in Nebraska, you need to become a member. It's free. It'll always be free. We don't charge dues to be a member. So we're always looking to expand that. We've got almost 10,000 members and almost 30,000 followers on our social media, on our Facebook page. We know that people are paying attention to what we're doing, but it's not enough just to sign up to be a free member. You've got to help us. So that's the biggest thing. We have 7 people on the board. We've got about another handful of people that aren't have board positions that help volunteer and do things regularly. But I would love to have all 10,000 people talking and having these conversations at the water cooler, at the coffee shop, all these different places.
So let's we got about 3 minutes left. So let's do a little bit of a different turn on this. You are a firearms trainer, and when permitless carry went through in Texas, one of the groups, and it was a very small group because it wasn't all of them. It was firearms trainers. A few of them said, "Look, this is how I make money. This is not good for trainers." Well, what we found in other states, when permitless carry goes through, requests and training for permits go up simply because reciprocity. If somebody in Nebraska wants to go to North Dakota, South Dakota, doesn't matter. We have true permitless carry. No matter where you're from, no matter where you live in South Dakota, you can carry without a permit. In North Dakota, you have to have a permit from your home state to be able to carry in North Dakota, even though they supposedly have permitless carry for their residents as well. So, but there's a lot of states, if you want to go to that state and carry, you've got to have a permit from your home state. Are you, as a firearms trainer, are you worried at all about the loss of business from getting the business for Nebraska permits?
Not only am I not worried, forgive me if I salivate a little bit here while we talk about this. As an instructor, it's going to open up so many more classes that I can offer to the people. And you're right, we've noticed the same thing. We've talked to our neighboring states. Nebraska shares a border with 6 different states. Out of those 6, only Colorado does not already have permitless carry. So we have looked at those states. We've looked at Kansas City, Topeka, Wichita. We've looked at St. Louis. We've looked at Des Moines. We've even looked at Sioux Falls, Rapid City, and Cheyenne. And there's no blood running in any of those streets. Even St. Louis, with permitless carry in Missouri. This has not been a problem. We've also noticed that, yes, the number of permits has increased in those states over the years since they have passed their constitutional carry laws. And exactly what you said, if you start carrying concealed without a permit, you get used to it. You start to depend on that feeling of empowerment, that confidence that says that, hey, if I'm ever backed into a corner, I've got the tools that I need to help make sure that I successfully fight my way back out of that corner. If you decide you're going to take a vacation, or you live near a state line and you cross the state line regularly, I'm thinking of where I grew up, just 4 miles from the South Dakota state line. When we went to town, we went to Gregory. We didn't go to a town in Nebraska. Most of the groceries, fuel, all that came from South Dakota. And so you're right. I don't need a permit to carry concealed now in South Dakota, but not every state is like that. So I was recently in Colorado. I was able to carry because they do recognize my Nebraska permit. If I take a trip across the country, there are a lot of states that recognize my permit, and I'm able to carry there. And so, yeah, I'm not going to let my permit go. And what will happen is, once you get used to carrying, you decide, hey, I don't want to disarm so that I can go to Denver. Yep. And people get used to that, and so then they will get their permit in order to legally carry concealed across that state line into a state that recognizes the permit. But as an instructor, the bigger issue here is that right now the state patrol mandates what has to be covered in the curriculum for the concealed handgun permit class. And to do it justice and cover it right, depending on how wordy the instructor is, and some of us are talkers, it's right? Somewhere between 6 to 8 hours of your butt in a classroom chair. Yeah. And so it's going to take the whole day. Plus, there is live fire qualification required as well. It's minimal, but it is required. And so without the requirement for the permit, people will still need to know the legal aspect. They need to know where they can and cannot legally carry, because it doesn't negate the prohibited places in Nebraska. Those stay the same. The only thing that changes is the requirement for the permit and the ability to require registration. Those are the things that change.
May I, yeah.
No mother may I. But you still have to know we're a duty to inform state. So if you get pulled over, you have to immediately inform the officer that you're carrying. You have to know the places where you can and cannot legally conceal your firearm in Nebraska. So I can take that 6 to 8 hour class, shorten it down to 2 to 3 hours covering the Nebraska state law section, and make that an evening class where people can come and just learn that. I can carve out the part about the use of deadly force and make that a shorter class that people can come to.
Well, not only is Nebraska duty to inform, Nebraska is, again, singular in that if you are in contact with an EMT
Yes.
or a paramedic, you need to inform them, and no other state does that.
Yes.
We are over time, but on our way out the door, man, we haven't yet talked about Sandhills Media. I only briefly in passing mentioned Get Off My Lawn. If you would plug what you do outside NFOA.
Absolutely. So yes, I've had the Sandhills Media channel on YouTube and Facebook going. We're in season 4 now of the Get Off My Lawn podcast. We talk about a lot of gun stuff, 2A stuff. We talk about a lot of stuff that's not that either. It's just what's been weighing on my heart lately. But we do that live every Thursday night, 8 o'clock Central Time. And we might just see a familiar smiling face. I guess I should say tonight as opposed to tomorrow night, Thursday the 19th.
Maybe. We'll have to see how things work.
We have a list of usual suspects that we let on the show from time to time to sound off as well.
My issue is just
my
this.
show is... Oh, go ahead, Paul.
My issue is you go live at 8 o'clock at night.
Yes, and you get up early.
I usually get up around 4:30 in the morning, and so that is very late at night for me.
Yes, when Paul's our guest, we keep him up way past his bedtime. The format of my show, it goes long sometimes. It'll go an hour and a half to 2 hours most nights, but I don't talk about just reviewing the current events. There are so many different shows out there that do that, and I want to bring something new to the table. So we pick a topic, and then we discuss it. And sometimes I'll go around the horn and call on all the panelists on the screen. Other times we just make it an actual, it's just a conversation, just like people sitting around a campfire. But we try to dig into an issue and give you something to think about that maybe you hadn't thought about before. So that's what we're all about.
Alrighty, and on my end, since this is going to air on a Thursday, I want to remind everybody to come join us on Friday. This coming Friday is Tom Walls. It's Training Friday, so please do come join me 5 p.m. Central Time tomorrow on Friday. And if you're catching us live as we're recording this, come join us day after tomorrow. But at any rate, Jon, thanks so much for taking your time out of your morning to come talk to us. And I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this huge issue. Thanks, Paul.
All right, folks. Thanks again, and thanks to everybody who's commented, and we will see you next time.